Meanwhile, energy regulator NERSA says it will be guided by the Constitution in making its final decision on whether to grant Eskom tariff increases. The power utility says it wants to recoup a shortfall of 66 billion rand. Various organizations, including COSATU, says the poor working class will feel the pinch if the increases are granted. Public hearings are underway in Cape Town. Energy experts say Eskom has found itself in financial trouble due to corruption. To take this further, we're joined now in the studio by energy expert Ted Bloom, who is from the Energy Expert Coalition. Thank you very much for joining us.
Good day.
Right, let's start off with this 30% increase. Is this proposal not too exorbitant?
Absolutely it is. It's made up of two components. The one part is the shortfall in sales, and the questions were asked yesterday, and we've been asking these for the last 10 years, is whether Eskom's forecast of sales weren't over-optimistic, deliberately so, because at the end of the day, those are the numbers that Eskom's allowed to claw back. The second part of the claim component is the cost overruns, and there we have serious problems. I highlighted during my talk in Cape Town that the variances are in excess of 20% on most items, and in fact on the company cost component, the overrun last year was over 15 billion rand. And the question I asked is, how can anybody budget a shortfall or not manage their budget and end up with a 15 billion rand overrun on salaries and wages and rentals and stuff? It's just ridiculous.
When you look at the inflation outlook in the country vis-a-vis the introduction of the 1% VAT increase, it's going to be hard-pressing for the consumer. Does anybody think about these implications?
Okay, so we ran a petition, and we've got 150,000 answers to that petition, and barring one person who condoned the increases, everyone else was really vehemently against the increases, and their position is actually very clear. They say, why should we, the public, pay for corruption and mismanagement and inefficiencies? And that's a very straightforward position.
So when you get inward looking in as far as the debt equity financial model of Eskom, do you think that it can be able to turn the corner with converting it, given that it has a 397 billion rand debt at the moment?
I think it's a tough task, and I think, as I mentioned yesterday, that the bottom line is nobody's going to put more money into Eskom under the current scenario, and that's a fact. And the feedback that I've had in the last 3 or 4 weeks is that the corruption is still continuing. At the hearings yesterday, I called for a full forensic audit into the situation at Eskom, because none of their records that they applied yesterday indicated any sense of provision for corruption. Their financial reports don't mention corruption. So somewhere there's something remiss, because none of the numbers reflect a portion that is attributable to corruption. And yet we all know from the Public Protector's report, from Parliament, from the President, from NERSA, from everybody, even Eskom itself, has admitted there's been gross corruption. But the numbers don't show anything. So there's something wrong somewhere. And the only way to address this is to have a full forensic investigation. And I think that, and I've mentioned that to the committee yesterday, if we endeavour to do that properly and independently, the lenders and the funders will probably come back to the party on a good faith basis. But under the current scenario, no go.
Now, if the current scenario doesn't augur well with your perspective, do you think that with the current leadership of Jabuma Buza at the helm, the turnaround strategy that has to be in the interim be implemented by this acting CEO? I saw lately that they are now looking for a permanent CEO as well. Do you think that with the way things are going at Eskom, things will be right? Because if you look at what happened recently, they signed for the IPPs, and even COSATU and NUM were against signing of the IPPs because they said that it's going to worsen the situation for employment in as far as the coal sector is concerned.
Well, on top of that, it's going to damage Eskom's balance sheet, because at the end of the day, they'll be receiving 20 to 30 billion rand less money on which to service this big debt that you've just referred to. So I think that it's a very difficult situation, because the new board has been flown in by the President, as we all know. Many of them don't have any experience. In fact, most of them would struggle to find Megawatt Park on a good day. So they've given themselves 6 months to come up with a new strategy. I think it's too little, too late. And to the extent that they're not conferring with people who actually have a track record in the industry, I think they're missing the ball tremendously.
So if they're missing it tremendously, what's your view regarding the signing of a deal between the independent power producers? If this is going to reduce the coal usage from 95% downwards, do you think that the energy mix is going to bring the any kind of difference in as far as the price of electricity is concerned, and looking at the way electricity is expensive for the ordinary consumer on the ground?
Okay, so that's very simple. I've done some forecasts. I'm one of the few guys who dare to travel that road, and I've indicated that besides the 33% we're facing now, there's another RCA to come. It will probably be around 30% because Eskom's currently burning those gas burners, and then on top of that there's still MYPD that has to come, and I'm forecasting because of the renewables and the burden they put on Eskom that Eskom's probably going to have to increase its tariff another 30 to 50% over the next 5 years. So there's a big shock coming in the pipeline.
What percentage increase are you proposing? What's the alternative other than 30%?
Okay, so Eskom's cash flow is diabolical at the moment, and they need some money. Whether it comes through the RCA or whether it comes through funders, I'm not sure. But at the end of the day, I don't think anything is justified. I think they've already made billions of rands profit in each of these years, in fact. If you go back to the financial records, they've made a minimum of 5 billion profit on average every year. So it's not that Eskom's losing money. It's just that Eskom's being very, very badly managed.
So you say nothing?
Bottom line, nothing.
Bottom line, nothing. Energy expert Ted Bloom from Energy Expert Coalition saying that Eskom must not increase the electricity tariffs. Zero, he says.